Here's the next part of the circle. Anytime you draw borders around something as big as Russia, you are going to hit natural resources. And they've got them. Really, it's the most incredible natural resource base of any country on Earth. Lots of oil, gas, coal, lead, zinc, bauxite, copper, diamonds, gold, and the list goes on and on and on. One of their problems, though, is that some of this is nearly inaccessible. Once you get into the Arctic, it becomes very, very difficult to extract natural resources. And in fact, the Russians are prone to use foreign companies to extract the resources, especially the oil and the gas. So in a way, the strength of its vastness, the vastness of the country, is also one of its weaknesses, because the vastness is so far north that it becomes incredibly difficult, remarkably difficult to operate in the northern parts of Russia. And of course, as you would probably guess, that's where a lot of the natural resources happen to be. Plus, the transportation infrastructure east of the Ural Mountains is shoddy and sparse at best. Of course, if you're going to build a road in an area where there's tundra and permafrost, the problem is that during the summer, the top layer of soil thaws out and becomes soggy and muddy, and during the winter, it freezes. The result of this is expansion, contraction, plus slushiness during the summer, and that destroys the roads very rapidly. Because of that, the northern tier of Russia east of the Urals has almost no transportation. The main transportation network that goes east and west in the country is the Trans-Siberian Railway, which was completed in the beginning of the 20th century. This is the Trans-Siberian. It's a very long trip, but it was designed to connect Moscow in the far western part of the country to Vladivostok on the Pacific coast. And it does that. There's 145 million people in Russia. Now, I want you to understand this. After the collapse of communism, almost immediately during the 1990s, the population began to decline, and rapidly. And this was not because of people emigrating, leaving. This was because of people dying. The death rates went up. Alcoholism went up. There's a really high level of smoking that goes on in Russia. And especially amongst men, the life expectancy dropped into the 50s. Incredible for a European country. If you look at this map, you can see that the darker red, orange colors are higher population density, and then as you get to those lighter yellows, buff color, if that's what you want to call it, those are lower population density. So all the way out in the west, most of the people live there in what is traditionally Russia. As you get to the east, the population thins out very quickly. Ethnically, this is a complicated place. The red is Russians, but there are a whole bunch of other people there. Now, that yellow that you see in Siberia, the eastern part of the country, is actually mostly uninhabited parts of the country. And you can see I circled here the populations that you see stretching from north to south in that eastern part of the country. Those are along rivers. So there's at least the ability to move around and survive and have some kind of connection. Linguistically, it's also complicated. Russian is an Indo-European language, but these other languages you see on here, Evenki, Yakut, these are not related to Indo-European languages. In fact, those people who speak those languages, many of those people in Siberia actually have relatively close genetic ties to people who live in the northern parts of North America, the Inuits, the indigenous people.